Here we go.
Addyston, Ohio, a small village nestled at the southern edge of Miami Township in Hamilton County, Ohio. Addyston is home to fewer than 1,000 residents. There was an ACA hurricane installed in Addyston, Ohio, likely in the early 70s or 80s. The siren, mounted on top of the town's VFW hall, was put there by Clayton Worden's father, a dedicated technician who spent years building and maintaining Cincinnati's outdoor warning system. At the time, it was the only hurricane ever installed in the Cincinnati region, and still is the only hurricane ever installed in the Cincinnati region. The siren worked for years, until 1999, when it failed to activate during the Blue Ash tornado. The issue was traced to a faulty valve, but despite the issue, the siren remained in place and out of service for several more years. It wasn't until 2002 or 2003 that the hurricane was finally removed and transported to Worden Electric in Gulf Manor, Ohio. Worden Electric, operated by Clayton Worden himself, became the new home for the hurricane. The hurricane was eventually replaced by a Federal Signal 2001, which is still standing today, not far from where the original siren was. It remained in Worden's yard for many years, before being purchased by the Carolina Siren Company in 2025. The Carolina Siren Company plans to refurbish the unit, though it will not return in service due to high maintenance demands and scarcity of replacement parts for hurricanes. After acquiring the unit from Worden, SSC worked on the hurricane and brought it back to working condition. Well, semi-working condition. You'll see why in a second. Later, it was publicly shown at SirenCon on May 31st, 2025, with a custom 10 to 12 watt chopper, bringing renewed attention to a siren that had been long known in the area, remembered by enthusiasts who still talked about it years after it was taken down.
3, 2, 1.
In the footage of the ACA hurricane at SirenCon, the blower finally gave out completely. It had been showing signs of failure for some time earlier. Test clips and demonstrations clearly revealed the blower was struggling, not sounding the best. You could hear it straining. It didn't sound right. You could hear it pushing too hard, the tone rough and uneven, as if it was barely hanging on. And honestly, what better place for it to fail than right in front of the siren community at SirenCon itself? Greenville, Texas, a growing city in Hunt County, just east of Dallas, is home to approximately 35,669 residents as of 2025. Around 1981, Greenville acquired a system of ACA hurricanes along with several penetrator sirens from Gifford Electric to strengthen their civil defense network. These sirens, often confused with similar installations in Garland, Texas, were equipped with plectron radios to maintain compatibility with the original Federal Code Type 5, located at Crockett Elementary School. Although no recordings of it in service or detailed documentation is available, the hurricanes likely remained active until the early 2000s, when the Greenville got upgraded to ATI sirens and retired older units. Between May and June 2023, the hurricanes and penetrators were removed and auctioned off. One hurricane was purchased by Texas Railfan in 2008, while another found a new home with Tommy at Sheboygan Warning Systems. Remarkably, one of these hurricanes sold for an impressive $4,000. The hurricane owned by Tommy was later fully refurbished and publicly showcased at SirenCon. The restoration journey was anything but easy. Tommy shared early photos on Instagram showing the siren's blower corroded and crusted over. Parts scattered like a scrapyard find, with one post reading RIP Greenville Hurricane, 1981-2024. At that point, many assumed it was beyond repair, but against all odds, with considerable time, effort, and resources, the hurricane was brought back to life, roaring once again. Today, the only siren remaining in Greenville is the original Federal Code unit.
In the early 1980s, Garland, Texas made its first major investment in civil defense infrastructure with the installation of 11 ACA hurricanes, purchased for just under $127,500. The sirens were installed by Gifford Electric. According to the then Civil Defense Director Denny Weed, the decision followed a 1977 study conducted by Texas A&M at Garland's request. Warning systems are not liked by all cities that have them, we remarked at the time, but even with all their faults, they are the best system available. The study revealed that most cities only installed sirens after experiencing tornado strikes. Garland aimed to avoid something like that occurring. To end it, the city committed over $100,000 in general revenue funds, supplemented by $27,500 from federal revenue sharing to build a warning system before disaster struck. Each siren mount began as a simple installation, just a blower, starter, and radio mounted on every pole. Over time, the system evolved. Additional control boxes were integrated, wiring grew more complex, and various other ACA products were introduced throughout the expanding city. By the late 1990s, the system underwent a significant yet controversial overhaul. ATI radios were installed on each hurricane, and new ATI speakers were added to cover areas beyond the reach of the aging mechanical sirens. Garland's siren system became a blend of old and new, gradually modernizing alongside the city's growth. Routine maintenance on the system became difficult due to the integration of the new infrastructure for the sirens. In April 2001, 2 hurricanes were removed, replaced with ACA units, and auctioned off. One was purchased by Gregory Newport, a once active member of the Siren community. Today, almost no trace of him remains online. No new sightings, no updates, just a name linked to one of Garland's ACA hurricanes. Eventually, Garland moved on. The remaining hurricanes were dismantled, replaced first by ATI units and later by Wheeling vortexes. In November 2004, the last of Garland's ACA hurricanes was sold at auction for $300, closing the chapter on nearly 3 decades of Garland's use of mechanical sirens.
Crescent, Minnesota, a city with a population just under 5,300, had 3 ACA hurricanes installed sometime between the late 1970s and early 1980s. These sirens were the city's answer to a growing need for an outdoor warning system. Unlike most installations, Crescent's hurricanes were unique. Their rotators were welded in place from the start, so the sirens never rotated. Instead, they served as fixed, low-volume directional units, providing targeted alerts to neighborhoods rather than covering the entire city. The 3 hurricanes located at Abnett Field, Kistler Park, and Veterans Park. The siren located at Abnett Field suffered chopper motor failure, and with the rotator welded and the horn left stationary, and the blower assembly was unused. Years of sun exposure faded the horn to a dull gray. In 2012, the siren at the water park was taken down to make way for a new water slide installation, and it's likely that the other siren was removed at the same time as part of this transition. Since both sirens had their rotators welded and never rotated, the city may have seen little operational loss in their removal. In April 2015, during a routine monthly test, City Police Chief Stabenow discovered that the Abnett Field siren was not working. An inspection revealed significant mechanical failure. The city attempted to file an insurance claim to cover the unexpected replacement cost, but the claim was denied. With the limited emergency services budget, the city had to carefully consider how to proceed. A bid from Federal Signal Corporation for $15,000 was presented to the city council as a proposal for a comparable replacement siren. After discussion, the council authorized the purchase and approved amending the 2013 Capital Equipment Certificate. To include this expense, the decision ensured that Crescent's emergency warning system would be modernized. It was later confirmed by Andre that one of the Crescent hurricanes was later scrapped in 2022. Darien, Illinois has long relied on its ACA hurricane siren, installed sometime in the 1970s as a crucial part of its outdoor warning system. This siren, like many older models, has faced increasing mechanical challenges over the decades, leading to its eventual replacement with a more reliable T128 siren. One persistent issue was the blower's motor's strange slowdown after running for about 40 to 45 seconds while the blower continued to operate. This unusual behavior was concerning, especially since the motor is a 3-phase type, which typically runs smoothly. Another technical problem was the drop in the blower pitch during operation. This was caused by the heating of the blower bearings, often due to misaligned end covers, creating friction. There's also a chance that the pressure release valve was set too high or failed to open, causing hot air to leak past the rotors, heating the blower casing. This heat buildup slows the blower initially due to high pressure and later because the rotors expand and contact each other, further reducing blower speed. Additionally, Fulton had to change the siren's oil annually. Though not a major inconvenience, this frequent maintenance requirement further illustrates just how demanding hurricanes are to keep in working order. The siren likely hadn't had a gear oil change in decades before Fulton's recent maintenance efforts. Without proper lubrication, the blower's internal gear wears down faster, increasing the risk of failure. All these factors combined made the ACA Hurricane a high-maintenance siren with reliability issues, an unacceptable risk when public safety depends on timely and clear emergency alerts. Recognizing these challenges, Darien replaced the ACA Hurricane with a T128. This upgrade not only improves safety for residents, but it also reduces maintenance costs and frees up Fulton's resources to support other communities. After its retirement, the Darien ACA Hurricane sat in Fulton's yard for some time rather than being discarded. It was refurbished and publicly displayed at SirenCon 2025, allowing enthusiasts and the public to appreciate this rare piece of siren history.
You aimed at the SirenCon. I aimed at that. Is your